I've noticed something that a lot of Latinos are not gonna like. Why is it that when Black people start communities to help founders or VC firms that are focused to help Black founders, they always include us? It is always Black and Hispanic or Black and Latino or Black and Brown. Literally every single community accelerator program VC firm that I know that was built with the intention of supporting more Black founders is built inclusive. Yet when Latinos build something, it is always for the Latinos only. This is for Latinos. It's never Latinos and Black people. It's never Latinos and other systemically marginalized. It's never Latinos and other immigrants. It's always Latinos, Latinas. And I will tell you, the number one thing you need in your life to be successful in anything is abundance. But the abundance mindset is something that seems to be really difficult to achieve for Latinos in the United States. There's constantly the scarcity, limited belief that is us, just us. And then we cry that no one ever supports us. The call is coming from inside the house. And let's not forget that oftentimes Latinos will be the worst enemy for another Latino, but that's a whole other topic. But I'm just so frustrated to see even more Latino-focused communities pop up that are only for Latinos, because not being inclusive hurts you guys more than anyone else ultimately. And when you see communities that do that, the us mindset, they try to rebrand it as empowering. I want you to pay attention to one thing, because that will tell you everything. Are those communities, those firms, those programs actually doing anything to move the needle for its members? Or are they actually monetizing off of the desperation of Latinos that are looking for support and community?
So we have a discourse going on between, I think majority like Mexicans and the Black community. And I just have to say to my Mexican people who are asking why the Black people are not like protesting with us or whatever. Why? Why would they? 92% of their women voted for Kamala. 80% of their community of men voted for Kamala. 60% of Latinos voted for Kamala. And I believe the majority were women and the majority were Mexican. But that number is crazy, considering that Hispanics and Latinos are becoming the fastest growing minority. Like, we are going to be the majority soon. And it's crazy for me to think that number was so fucking low. And now you're asking where the Black community is when they're the ones who tried to avoid this. Hello? They try to avoid this. We all tried to tell you guys, even within my own community. I'm talking to you guys because I did the work. And I know other Latinas who did the work. We were on calls every fucking week. We were writing postcards. We were making phone calls. And you guys were probably nowhere in sight, my Latino community. And now you're begging the Black community to come help us, to come save us. No! I think it's time we learn to save ourselves and let the Black community rest, because my God, have they not done enough fucking work. So yeah. Where were we during the George Floyd protests or the Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, when their community was getting killed? Where the fuck were we? Because I do not remember seeing any Latin people out there. Now, maybe there was one or two of y'all. I don't remember seeing any Mexicans out there. So why should they put their time, their energy, all of this into helping a group of people who didn't give a shit about them when they needed our help? Think about that. Also, where the hell are all you Latinos for Trump at? Because I see a lot of you guys crying on here that you regret your decision. He lied to us. He used us. Where the fuck are you? Are you out there protesting? Because you motherfuckers are really the ones who need to be out there. You guys. And all your fucking regrets for voting for him with your dumbasses. So before you guys start wondering where the Black people are, wonder where the fucking Latinos for Trump are. Where the fuck are they? That should be the question we're asking.
Hello tribe, welcome to this particular show. I go by Sherlock. Now in today's video, tiny little comments on what has been going around with the Latinos, Afro-Latinos, and the Black Americans, especially the Black culture or the Black community. Now recently, this group of Latinos have come out, predominantly making up these particular bold declarations, irrespective of how or what they are going, maybe they are going to face, that we need really to have blacks as our brothers. And the reason is this group, or this particular group, has realized that all along blacks have been right and they've been fighting. One major reason as to why there's a shift of awareness that the blacks have been fighting for the marginalized groups, including the blacks themselves, for some rights. And that is racial injustices, especially in the political arena, in leadership, and this particular group have come out saying, no, all along our blacks, we've been so sorry, we are so sorry, we've been wrong, we've been misguided, but I think it is high time that we shake hands. Now we're going to watch from different other quarters, more sentiments, more reaction from different other quarters over the same. And of course, at the end, I'm going to circle back with more thoughts, deep insights over the same. Now, if in case I stepped on your toes, do drop me your comments at the comment section of what exactly you think of this particular video, and of course, what you think of what is going on in this particular larger domain. So let's keep on watching.
When I was little, they used to call me Negrita or Little Black, Blackie, and I bought my mom a book called Black Pride so she would wake up, but she didn't want to read it, and it's driving me crazy that she won't read it. While it's sad that this commenter experienced this opens up a bigger discussion about the intellectual laziness that I mentioned in my previous video. I personally believe that Latinos are resistant to change because of our attachment to our traditions and our culture. And while there are beautiful, lovely things that are embedded within our culture and within our tradition, we must also be able to criticize things that come from nefarious origins. Things such as calling people out based on their skin color. Not to mention, your own family not wanting to learn more about why something they've been saying to you your entire life could be offensive to you is another example of this traditional mindset that we have, which is basically honoring your parents regardless of your self-respect, regardless of how you feel about it, which has been particularly damaging for people who have marginalized identities, whether they're LGBTQ+. In the cases that I've been highlighting, you have a darker skin tone than some of your family members, and they feel like it's okay to ostracize you or just say little things because they're your family out of love. Hey, negro and negra is just scratching the surface of the racial nicknaming and the external physical characteristic nicknaming the Latino community. So if you want me to talk about that, we can talk about that in another video. I love being Black. I love being Latina. I love being Afro-Latina. I don't understand what people don't understand about that. Because I love my culture, because I love my identity so much, that's why I want to make it better for other people who are like me. A lot of people seem confused and surprised about how 60% of Latino voters voted for Donald Trump after he's made countless racist and xenophobic remarks against not only Latinos, but also immigrants from other countries. But Afro-Latinos, we're not surprised at all. Racism is alive and well in the Latino culture with things like mejorar la raza, which means to better the race, which is like street eugenics. Calling your family members based on their skin tone, like negro, negrita, as a loving term, but it's obviously derogatory because the anti-Blackness is so prevalent. And the craziest part, if we were able to break down the Afro-Latino votes from the white and mixed Latinos, we'd probably see that Afro-Latinos inflated the Harris support from Latinos.
I was asked if there is racism in the Dominican Republic. This is a difficult subject because racial discrimination in my country is normalized, and most of the people don't think we have a racism issue, which makes the dialogue difficult. But yes, there is racism in the Dominican Republic, and there is colorism too. I realized that for people outside our cultural context, to hear that on a country where the majority of people is Black or mulatto, there is racism sounds absurd. But hear me out. This is a consequence of colonialism. During colonial dominion, there is an imposition of language, religion, and culture of the colonizers. So we were taught to believe that everything that was Black or African was bad or ugly. Follow me for more.
Apparently you can't be racist towards your family members. Be so serious. I've been talking about racial nicknaming in the Latinx community, and I've been specifically talking about negro and negrita because I'm Black. Y'all haven't even let me get to the indigenous hate. You haven't even let me get to people calling anyone that looks slightly Asian Chinese. But let me talk about anti-Blackness again. Pa que se te meta. This racial nicknaming custom is relative and subjective to the environment that you're in your country, and in your community. O sea, if you literally don't have Black people in your family, people will start choosing the darkest person in the family to call them negro or negra or moreno morena, and that moreno or morena could literally be like a brunette in a family of blonde people. I'm not saying it's okay to be like, oh, blanca, like calling people out for being white. I'm just confused about where the critical thinking has gone when we think about why we use these words. Language is a tool. A tool is something that you use to do something else. What are you trying to do? If you're trying to convey affection, are you not creative? Do you not have other things to be affectionate with? Why is it so difficult to understand that the whole concept of race, the whole concept of trying to label people based on the color of their skin is a colonial practice? Some people have literally commented that they've been called these names by random people on the street. So I'm literally just talking about family, so maybe people can understand and have a little bit more compassion. But what about when a random person that doesn't know you just randomly calls you out in the street based off what you look like? When you try to erase the origins of these customs, then you have dumb people trying to reclaim terms that would never have been used for them back when they were created. So you have people who are literally white saying, oh, they call me negra and it makes me feel so special, blah, blah, blah. Like, girl, what are you talking about? When you try to erase the origins of these customs, then you have dumb people trying to reclaim terms that would never have been used for them back when they were created. So you have people who are literally white saying, oh, they call me negra and it makes me feel so special, blah, blah, blah. Like, girl, what are you talking about? Not exactly sure what it means to act African, but as an Afro-Latina living in the United States, I can tell that there are some parallels between American culture and Latin American culture. One of those being taking cultural elements that started in Black communities, repackaging it, stripping it from its Black cultural roots, and then saying it's part of mainstream culture. In the US, we've seen this with things like African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, as well as hip-hop. Ends up happening is that there's a dilution of credit of the communities that birth certain things. Similarly, Afro-Latinos are responsible for reggaeton in Latin American culture. The roots of reggaeton can be traced to Jamaicans who came to Panama to work on the Panama Canal, and they brought that reggae. Father of reggaeton, El General, is an Afro-Panamanian who combined Panamanian music with the Jamaican reggae that was brought down to the Canal Zone. We all know that the biggest reggaeton artists right now are not Panamanian. In fact, reggaeton is associated with Puerto Rico, and I love my Boricuas. But when you have Colombian artists like J Balvin getting the Afro-Latin Artist of the Year award, that's crazy. Let's tie it back to the American thing. 2023 MTV Video Music Awards, Selena Gomez won the first Afro Beats award that they had, along with Rema, for Calm Down. Now, I love Calm Down, but you know he had his own version before Selena jumped on it? So a Mexican American who has been in the US, who's not Afro-Mexican, who's not even Black American, who's not African, had to be on the track for Rema to win the Afrobeats Award. This is what I mean when I say Black contributions are like overshadowed and it's stripped from its origins and other people are getting credit and we're just saying like, oh, like that's fine.
So why when Latinos come together, they only help each other, but when Black people come together and create programs, it's always for Black and Latinos? This comment here was left underneath that video. I had actually addressed Afro-Latinos in my video, but a friend of mine called me and it muted the video, which I didn't realize, so I had to cut it out later. Anyways, as someone who works with a lot of Afro-Latinos, let me tell you that whenever I ask them about all of these kind of programs, the majority of them have told me that as Afro-Latinos, they feel safer and more welcome and more included when it comes to Black programs that are, again, designed for Black and Brown or Black and Latinos or whatever they're called, than they feel when they go to Latino founder communities. Which totally makes sense considering how colorist our community is. And that's exactly a reason why it's important to build intersectionally safe spaces and not safe spaces or support groups or whatever they call themselves that are by design othering the very group that they're saying they're supporting.
All right, people. Now, the shift in this particular awareness, even as I promised you earlier that I'm going to, circle back with more comments and deep insights over the same. The shift in this particular awareness is, as a result of what? What are the few things that have really contributed? What have these really realized that they have been doing, contrarily, that now they need really to rectify that? I'm going to read something small here so that I make up kind of, first of all, the Latinos have got shared common struggles with systemic racism in America. Now, many Afro-Latinos and Black people in the US face similar economic and social barriers. However, historically, Some Latinos communities have, of course, distanced themselves from black struggles, often aligning more with whiteness for social and economic mobility. Now, conversations around race and systemic inequalities grow. More Latinos are acknowledging that the intersectionality of their experiences. Number two, the visibility of black-led inclusion, very visible. Black efforts, especially in the black communities in the US, have long prioritized collective progress, often including other marginalized groups like Latinos. So which means that all along the blacks have equally been fighting for this particular Latinos. It's only that the Latinos have not been, seek that one. And so these particular initiatives have been realized at the fruits, and definitely the Latinos are coming out. No. All along they've been really fighting, and it's been very visible. Number three, we have the rise of Afro-Latino identity. Many Latinos are now embracing their African heritage more openly. Yes, forcing broader Latino communities to confront anti-blackness and exclusionary practices. Then as more Afro-Latinos demand recognition, the impetus of blackness within Latino culture becomes harder to ignore. And to the third point, or the fourth, that is the power dynamics in the US racial politics. That is, in the US, racial classification has historically favored black-white binary, placing Latinos in an ambiguous space. So some Latinos have tried to separate themselves from blackness to gain social privilege. However, as black communities continue to shape major social and economic movements, more Latinos are recognizing that aligning with black progress can also benefit them. So they don't want to be sidelined, they don't want to be left out. And then also monetization versus true empowerment. There's growing critique that some Latino-led communities and programs are more about profit than actual empowerment. So black-led initiatives, by contrast, have often focused on long-term structural change. As Latinos see these models working, they are beginning to reassess their own community building, approaches. And this is my final thought. Ultimately, Latinos are realizing the importance of black people now, because it is becoming, harder to ignore the long-standing impact of the black leadership and in racial justice, economic mobility, and of course cultural influence. And the challenge remains: will the Latinos still embrace this true solidarity? And that is a question that I'm posing to you guys out there, family, tribe. Do holler me, do drop me your comments in the comment section of your thoughts of what exactly you think of this particular realigning, these particular shift paradigm movements that are currently making up headlines. That are we going to, even as we are seeing the Afro-Latinos, an interesting one here. And again, stay tuned, because very soon I'm going to also make a very critical approach and video over the same Afro-Latinos and how publicly they've come out claiming of their true African heritage, and they're embracing that, trying to claim their root back to Africa. Once again, I go by Sherlock. Even in case you bumped across this particular channel accidentally, a good friend of yours did refer you this particular the channel, how about a thumbs up, a tiny little comment and a like, and of course a sharing with good friends, especially those ones that this work who will be of great value and importance. Above all, cheers, and let's meet in the next upload.